the iconic animal of the American West.
Home to bison for centuries, between 3,000 to 4,000 of them still roam the meadows and mountains of Yellowstone National Park. But when they leave Yellowstone and enter Montana is when they run into problems.
There's a limited amount of tolerance for bison outside the park boundaries.
2 state and 3 federal agencies manage bison according to guidelines laid out in the Interagency Bison Management Plan. Its goals are to maintain a wild, free-ranging bison population and protect Montana's cattle industry.
Bison are hazed from Montana into Yellowstone at certain points of time in the year to keep them separate from cattle, to prevent the transmission of brucellosis.
There's no reason to really worry about bull buffalo transmitting brucellosis, except maybe during the mating season, and that's when they're in the park anyway.
When the Yellowstone herd outgrows its habitat, bison are managed by herding them like cattle.
We're very protective of the animal and have the animal welfare at the forefront of our efforts. They are held in a penned area for no longer than 24 hours before they're shipped.
Put them on these even smaller trailers for a 3 to 4 hour drive to the slaughterhouse, where they finally put them down after sometimes weeks of being confined in these terrible corrals.
An approved portion of the bison management plan is hunting.
We were required to create a fair chase hunt, and we believe that we've done that to the best of our ability.
But there's a chance these animals tend to run from hunters eventually, but we aren't going to see it for a bit. It's going to be like shooting a couch.
So as the largest North American land mammal continues to live and breathe, so does debate over how to manage them.
This is the only piece of wildlife in Yellowstone that can't leave the park.
They're not allowed to leave, come and go as they please on their own because of the disease, brucellosis, and the risk to the livestock industry.
That's those two? Okay.
It's order up for Callie Kellum at the Town Cafe. Born and raised in Gardner, Callie knows how to serve a good meal. She also knows her wildlife.
Growing up with it was quite an experience. It kind of turns into just a way of life. You don't really notice it much after a while.
One trip through this sleepy town of 800 plus, and you can't help but notice.
Buffalo, elk, deer, and pretty much any given day this time of year. It's like, it's kind of like just neighborhood dogs running around. They're everywhere.
Several years ago, there was a grizzly bear that came into town, and I don't remember how they took care of it, but it was kind of just running rampant through the streets.
I don't know if it's still up, but it has been for many years on one of the hotels there that says elk stay free. Oh. Elk often end up on that hotel's lawn.
Oh, wow.
When a hunter scores big in the field like this huge 6x7 bull elk, tourists and locals alike gather to watch. Even easier to see are dozens of bison that leave Yellowstone's higher elevations to make Gardner their home away from home.
Buffalo almost come in the front door, and I could reach out on that rail outside here and touch them, except they were big.
These bison like to hang out near the Gardner High School football field.
Shooting one right about now.
When it comes to seeing their bison hunted, locals have definite opinions.
Why not? I mean, it's game. I eat the meat.
I like seeing them, and I'd miss them if they weren't here.
I have mixed feelings sometimes. A lot of out-of-state hunters that go hunting here with the outfitters, a few of them I should say, they're here for the hunt and they're here for the trophy. But I have respect for people who will take home the meat and actually use it to feed their families.
Did everybody check your name off of the list?
For Cameron Criddle, this class is unlike any other.
I think it's pretty good to have something like this because a lot of people probably go into it thinking, oh, it's just a big deer. And apparently it's not. So.
We think about bison. They're the largest of our North American land mammals. Get up to about 2,000 pounds. If you think of that compared to an elk at about 700 pounds, pretty amazingly large, and that's going to be a reality to you.
The 45-minute presentation covers all the bison basics, from its lengthy history.
They're also a symbol of the American West.
To identifying an animal's gender and behavior.
The higher the tail gets, the higher your concern level should get.
To map reading and general guidelines about tracking the animals.
We're required by law to not disclose locations. We can't help you with retrieval.
The hunters are encouraged to take along horses, snowmobiles, or ATVs, and at least 4 helpers to assist with field dressing.
I'm excited by it. I am a little bit anxious about it as well because of the amount of work that there's going to be.
They're also given information that could save their life.
When you walk up on them, You know, if you shoot a deer or an elk and he's not dead, you know, it's not a big deal. But it's a big deal with one of these critters because they can kill you.
Bethany?
Once the class ends, the tags are passed out, and then it's time to look ahead to the hunt.
I guess that's one thing that I learned in this class that I did like, is it's a fair chase hunt. It's not, here's your buffalo, kill it.
It's almost like Christmas is here again, and just pretty excited for it.
With a hunting party of 5 men, 2 boys, 2 trucks, and 2 horses, Cameron Criddle leads the way to the foothills above Gardner.
You see some?
Yep. 2.
Well, we've got some buffalo spotted up there.
We were wondering if we could get around
walking around. There's another hunter going up there as well, but I think there's plenty for all of us.
Up this 2-mile hike with his brother doesn't lead to any bison sightings, but there's certainly plenty of other wildlife. Not far from where we left the truck, a group of Native Americans from Great Falls celebrate after exercising their treaty rights by taking the bull.
Kind of a rush. It's definitely, yeah, you know, I had to stop and, just, you know, and afterwards it was just kind of unbelievable.
See any buffalo?
Sure haven't.
Criddle continues his quest by heading to the high country, where a howling wind drives the wind chill well below 0.
The wind's blowing 70 miles an hour, so we're going to do what we can to preserve ourselves.
He mounts a horse in the first of 2 outings on horseback in order to cover more ground, but comes up empty both times.
My guess is the buffalo are hunkered down, and they're not going to be moving around during this, but we'll just wait for a little bit, I guess, and see.
These aren't the same ones.
In town for a late afternoon lunch, we come across the cows we couldn't find in the field. And with an hour of daylight left, Criddle gives it one last go.
Right, it was off the right side.
He gets a break. A group of elk hunters spot a lone bison near where we started the day. With a surge of adrenaline, he hustles to get a closer look. But it's a bull, not a cow, the wrong sex. And his day is done.
A 3rd bull, and it's standing broadside against a barn. And no hope. No chance. Come back next week.